Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise today to again speak to a matter of public importance around small business support in Tasmania. Over the last 2 weeks, Labor have been persistently prosecuting the case for a greater understanding and the importance of clarity provided around the environment of operating for small businesses, and not actually only small businesses but micro business, medium and large businesses in Tasmania. And the reason that we've had to stand to do this is because despite the government's persistence that they want to provide certainty and confidence to businesses across Tasmania, it is clear that their policies are misleading and confusing to those people seeking to operate, to earn an income and to contribute to the economy of Tasmania. Last week, we prosecuted the case for micro businesses, and following persistent bringing to the attention of the government these concerns from small businesses that are an essential part of our economy, there has now been an acknowledgement that this was an oversight, and on Friday grants will open for businesses earning between above $25,000. But further to that, we have recognised concern in the community that's been brought to our attention from not only tax agents but from businesses, small and large, from right across the state, from northern businesses and southern businesses, concerned with the misleading policy that was presented around the treatment of payroll tax over JobKeeper payments. When I came to this House, it was important to me that I stood to act on behalf of all Tasmanians and that I stood to act for small businesses. In the last 8 weeks since I've been appointed as the Shadow Minister for Small Business, I've taken an acute interest in this area and ensured that not only I have been able to connect with and hear from businesses across Tasmania, but I've also come to understand all of the elements of my folio. I also made a commitment to myself that I always act with courage and ask the hard questions, but where there was something happening, where there was injustice or it was unfair, that I would raise that in order that corrections could be made, and that I would always be in action. What we actually asked today of the Minister for Small Business was to confirm statements made in this House yesterday in regards to the policy of treating JobKeeper payments with payroll tax. Yesterday, the Small Minister stated in this House that JobKeeper payments were exempt from payroll tax, full stop, and in fact stated that repeatedly in the House yesterday. When asked to clarify today, there was no correction of the record. In fact, a different answer was provided by the Small Business Minister and, in fact, by the Acting Premier. Therefore, our businesses across Tasmania who are currently providing and submitting their end-of-year returns led to believe that the reply provided by the Small Business Minister yesterday to be correct, and in fact there is no liability across JobKeeper payments for payroll tax. See, it's not just businesses that are deep in hurt right now, that are deep in the concerns of keeping their businesses alive, deep in concern of actually being able to generate the income to pay their employees. Not only that they are doing extra hours and some taking extra jobs, not to pay themselves more, but to pay their staff, now have to go through understanding this misleading policy from the government. What we seek today is a clarification from the Small Business Minister, and in fact we by the end of the day need businesses across Tasmania to be clear on how they are going to treat these payments. Is it the case that where federal government funds have been provided to Tasmanian businesses to support workers, to secure jobs, that were provided because there was an awareness of how hard things are, that in fact that money that has been provided to secure jobs has been taxed by the state government to generate revenue? It cannot be believed that the government is so desperate for funds that they would tax the very money that has been given to these businesses to secure jobs and to support workers and in turn support their families. We have in the last week, we've been prosecuting the case of these COVID support grants for people particularly in hospitality or tourism affected businesses, that the grants that were first documented, maybe $2,000, maybe $5,000 or $10,000, are now what people are going to have to dip into to pay their payroll tax liabilities. On this side of the House, Tasmanian Labor stand for supporting small, micro, medium and large businesses. We stand for supporting the workers, the owners and the people that right now are doing it tough to figure out how they're going to meet ends meet at the end of the week, not only for themselves but for their employees and the families and the communities that they support. We need today to have clarity on the way that this payroll tax is being treated across JobKeeper payment, because if this House is serious and if the government is serious about their support and their understanding, if the Minister is clear for her folio and she has an understanding of the impact that this misleading policy has had on many businesses across Tasmania, then the record needs to be corrected. People that month on month in recent months were required not to include JobKeeper in their returns, and now at the end of year are finding unexpected and significant. We have an example of someone who has been given a $7,000 payroll tax liability unexpected when they thought they would have zero. That is so, in the current circumstances for Tasmanian businesses, is devastating. We heard last week from a business who was eligible to apply for a grant, who was eligible in the category of having a $2,000 grant, despite losing $20,000 worth of confirmed bookings for their business. Now, for a business that may be liable for payroll tax liabilities across their JobKeeper payments, it is essential that we're all on the same page here, that we actually seek to understand and then to clarify how, in fact, we are seeking to support small businesses across Tasmania, how we are supporting the owners that right now are doubling down on second and third jobs to pay the employees that they support, the families and communities that they support, and they don't need this lack of confidence, this lack of certainty or clarity from the government. What they need now is answers, and for the Minister to correct the record.